Welcome back to Cannon Fodder TV. We're doing an instant post-game reaction on this one. I think, are we? Yes, we are. We are. We're live. We're live and direct from the studios of Cannon Fodder TV. So the first time in Arsenal's history in a calendar year, 5 straight wins. But Burnley, oh my goodness. There is a quote from Vincent Kompany about his defending. Not good, not good. But you know what? We're waiting for 2 more guests. But while waiting for our 2 guests, we're going to get into this instant post-game reaction on the other side of this music intro. 5-0, 5-0, 5-0. Yes, welcome back indeed to Cannon Fodder TV for an instant post-game reaction. I do sound a little bit congested, rather like Burnley's defence, congested and going nowhere fast. But as instant post-game reaction, Burnley 0 or 0 and Arsenal 5. 5, it should have been a lot more. It should have been a lot more. I think we'll start where we usually start. And the starting point for this one will be, as usual, is a starting 11. And I'm looking at this 11, I'm thinking, right, okay, we've got Uraya, Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, Kiovo, I'll get to him in a moment. Declan Rice, Kai Havertz, I'll get to him in a moment. Erdegaard, I'll get to him in a moment. Bukayo Saka, we'll get to him in a moment. Martinelli and Trossard. I shall get to Trossard in a moment. So that was the starting 11. Now, in principle, Premier League, Burnley, bottom of the table. You're thinking, surely this should be an easy win. Surely with this 11, I think any 11 that we have should be sufficient enough to get the 3 points. All right, so that was the starting 11. Brother Prosper, how are you?
Fine, and how are you, Alex? Sorry I'm late. Cannon Fodder, it's been a good evening. So we're celebrating and arguing. You know what happens after a game.
As always, as always. So, Brother Prosper, I'm just talking about the 11. Did you have any concerns about the starting 11?
I don't have any concerns about the starting 11, simply because we're playing Burnley. Now,
exactly.
So these are the kind of games where you have to try out players that haven't had enough game time. So I didn't have any complaints about the starting 11, but I have complaints about performance of a player.
Right. Okay.
Against Burnley. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the 11, and I rightly say there, we shouldn't have had any concerns. Although we know sometimes, teams like Burnley or sometimes maybe Luton or Nottingham Forest, they can trip us up. But I'm thinking that 11 there should be enough to secure the win, and it was an emphatic win. Brother, I want to ask you a question before we go into the game. I want to ask you, for some reason, the question about Bukayo Saka being a world-class player. Now, here are some comments we received over the last, I'd say, 5-6 days. Here is the first one about the question about Bukayo Saka. Let me remove this very, very quickly. And this person says on the platform, this young man is a world-class player. And given that he's playing in the toughest league, he has taken too many bad tackles that have not been called. In addition, he has not scratched the surface. The more that he develops more into a four-footed player, I think, he will be unstoppable. He has shown signs that by scoring a goal with the right foot a few games ago, I know that is a lot. I expect him to be the best player at Arsenal and to be the main clog in England in the Euros come up in the World Cup. Just keep on improving your game, Bukayo Saka, to be the best player and believe in yourself. Another comment we had was saying, if he's been England's best player 2 years running and Arsenal's best player for some time, then who else can be world class? And then the last one, Saka will never be world class. He's a one-trick pony and so predictable on the ball. Bukayo Saka, world class?
Yeah. This Alex, I mean, canon for the family. I think our standards have gone that low. First and foremost, let me give credit where it's due. Saka is a talented player. Saka is a good player. And if well natured, he will turn into a world class player. But saying Saka is a world class player right now doesn't cut it for me because he hasn't proven himself to earn that title to be a world class player. He hasn't won anything big yet. So to be called a world class player, you should really prove yourself. Now, why I argue a lot about this because we've heard it several times on the English side of fans. I remember there was that time when Rooney was injured and then Walcott was called up. There was so much publicity on him, and I didn't like it because Walcott was just a young boy then. He was a teenager. He was pampered so much. He's going to the World Cup. He's a kid. He's got this. He's got that. Look at how Walcott's career ended. And so many other young English players. Why? Because we give them so much praise, and because they're getting that big money already, because of privilege of starting your football in the EPL, they forget that they can go beyond what they've achieved. They get comfortable. So if we make another mistake of praising Saka too early, we might end up with another Walcott. So much potential, so much everything, but the guy just didn't unlock. He'll end up somewhere, and we've seen it. Lingard, several players, we've seen it. The Jokos, they just ended at a certain level. They didn't reach that Michael Owen level. You know, Michael Owen is the only young player who reached that level where Madrid was shaken and we gotta buy this player. And if it wasn't for injuries, Michael Owen was supposed to be the best young talent of England. You know, that I can say, Owen, I can say he was world class because he proved himself at the highest level of football. Saka hasn't proved himself. Let's not take the statistics where you play against Burnley, then when you have big games against City and probably in the Champions League, they'll be having big. That's why we will see if Saka can level up. But if he comes short, then he's not world class yet. He has to prove himself. That's my argument. Has he got talent? He's got that so much talent. Honestly, he's got that so much talent, especially if we look at today's generation of footballers. Not many footballers are talented as they were back then. So if you're looking at Saka, you're looking at the premium of his generation. But is he world class yet? No, he's not. He's a player. He's not a player who, like, if Arsenal is flat, like Thierry Henry would carry that team, in the Champions League. The whole team is flat, and then he just does something amazing, and we're winning the game. He's not that kind of player yet, and that's what world class means. When the team is flat, you come in, you change everything, you pick it up onto yourself and say, "I'm gonna win this game." Or I'm gonna set the level higher. Remember Henry was playing with average players and young players, but we went as far as the final of the Champions League. Why? Because he had that aura in him to push everyone around him. But Saka, when we're having a bad day, he's off, we're praising other players. How many games has he gone flat? He's not yet there. So we start putting world class titles on him, we'll turn him into another Walcott. So that's my take on Saka.
Yeah, but also as well, Prosper. What I find interesting, for me, it's subjective. It's not clear cut for anyone because everyone's got their opinion about what is world class. If it was so easy, we wouldn't have had the debates that I've been seeing in the Canon 40 TV WhatsApp group. I mean, people give their opinions about what.
Yeah, but
go on.
But when we talk about world class, I mean these are standards that are set. You will never hear a young, talented Brazilian like Neymar. When Neymar was young, he showed so much potential than Saka, being called a world-class player. And look what happened to Neymar. Did he reach his prime? Honestly, Neymar had so much talent in him. but he never reached where he would have reached. You see,
Yeah.
you have to prove yourself
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
pitch, not by sentiment. Okay, Prosper loves. I'll give you an example. I love Emil Smith Rowe, but I'm not gonna put him up there to say he's a world class player. No, he has to prove to me he's a world class player, and that's
Mm.
what football is all about. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
sentiment doesn't cut it.
All right. Okay. So the game. You know what? Vincent Company. He came out with some comments about when Burnley give away goals. It's disheartening because they work so hard on the defense. And I looked at Burnley today, Brother Prosper. I'm thinking they don't know how to defend. They're panicking. They're trying to clear the ball, and even at the way they played, I think if they had
Mhm,
played with a low block, they wouldn't have been
mhm.
so open and so exposed to how Arsenal plays. But I mean, Vincent Company, they're going to be relegated anyway. But was it that Burnley was so bad or Arsenal was so good? Prosper.
You know, I'm not taking anything away from our team. This is our team. This is our team.
All
I'm
right,
not taking
okay.
anything. I'm not taking anything away from Arsenal. The past 3, 4 games they've been Arsenal. The Arsenal I want to support. The Arsenal I want to be a fan of. So you beat Liverpool. You have a good run like this. Even if you're an organized Burnley, you come in with cold legs. I've played soccer before. You go into the pitch, you can't move your foot because you just shaken. The opposition is just too good and you like having cold feet. So Burnley was having one of those days where they were having cold feet in there. They were trying to do damage control from the first whistle, but they ended up messing up. If they played their game, probably they would have scored a goal earlier, but they were just starting from the guy who was up front. What's his name again?
Fofana.
Fafana.
Yeah.
He had cold feet.
Yeah.
All he was thinking of is running with the ball. He couldn't think of, okay, let me wait for support. You see, he was making the basic mistakes in soccer. So you
Yeah.
could tell these guys are disoriented, even from the locker room. So Arsenal was that good. And
Yeah.
Arsenal has been that good for four games. I hope the run goes on.
Yeah. But you know what, Prosper? We've been talking about why is it Arsenal have to try and walk the ball into the goal. And I was surprised. It was an assist from Martinelli outside of his right foot to Erdegaard. And I was surprised that Erdegaard hit it first time. Well, almost first time. And it was a really good goal. But I was surprised that Erdegaard actually took it and he struck the ball clean down to the goalkeeper's bottom left-hand corner. So were you surprised that Odegaard, rather than trying to pass the ball again, that he struck the ball? Were you surprised at that, or?
Not at all. If you remember, is it 2 games ago? We had someone score from outside the box. Who was that? Rice? Is it Rice or?
Rice? Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Starting from the first game we won, I think Arteta has let the lead off. Guys, go and play football there. Do what you can do to win the game. So for me, it wasn't a surprise because now you can see not every pass goes to Odegaard. If another player sees his friend is his colleague is open, they make that killer pass without passing the ball to Odegaard. You see,
Mm, mm,
and the
mm,
crosses are coming
mm,
in
mm,
early
mm.
as well in the box. So we've totally changed. It's like he's been watching Cannon Fodder. No, we've been complaining about this thing. You know, it's like he's been watching Cannon Fodder. Ateta, wherever you are, the first half of the season, you were my enemy. Honestly speaking, if you were to put me and you in the same room, I would have done something. But right now, you're my boy. You're my boy, Ateta. You're my boy. You continue doing what you're doing, you're gonna keep your job. Yeah, I think he's just giving them that freedom. That freedom. Go and play soccer. You see an opportunity, do what you have to do. This is what we're talking about. When those guys, Arsenal is a second tier European team right now. I have to take it as it is. But
Yeah.
much as it is a second tier European team, the EPL is the premier end of soccer.
Mm,
So
mm.
any player who's playing for Arsenal is good enough to make his own decision in the pitch. It's not a 12-year-old, 9-year-old that you have to guide. They have to
Yeah.
think for themselves. They have to know when to shoot, when to pass, and everything. All you have to do is a strategic coaching. We're gonna play like this. If they start attacking like this, we're gonna go into this formation. Basic management of players. But those are professionals. The basics they know already. So
Yeah.
what Ateta was doing wrong in the first half of the season and probably last season, he was trying to overmanage players even on the pitch. You see, like he's playing a video game. Now pass to this one, pass to this one. But now they are free. They can express themselves, and we're seeing beautiful things now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the stream that I was watching, they didn't really show much of Mikel Arteta on the sidelines. But what I saw, he wasn't ranting and raving. He wasn't screaming at the players, giving them instructions, overloading their heads. So I think it was a mature, managing the players today. And like you said, I think he's learning from his mistakes, learning from the
Yeah.
mistakes. That's why we make mistakes. We've got to learn from them. But
Mm.
if things couldn't get any worse for Burnley, there was a penalty. Was it a penalty for you? It was a soft penalty. From what
Well,
I no.
well, for me, I think this is where it all comes back to the same comment we started with. No, Saka is being hit so many times. We want special treatment somehow for a player in the EPL. And then you find if they go to the World Cup, to the Euros, they're not given special treatment because they're just basic players. They are not looked at as stars. So the case of Burnley here, if it was the other way around, definitely that penalty would have been given.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It wouldn't have been given, you see? But because it's a small team, nobody will argue, complain, the bookies, the money, it will favor where the money is coming from. So people don't complain. That's why you find if you go to Champions League level, sometimes we don't do as well because what we expect to happen there. I'll just give you an example. One example, Didier Drogba was always a menace in the EPL. But when it comes to AFCON, he never really was that Didier Drogba. Because when he came here, referees just let it flow. You get battered and bruised and everything. And it's all physical. So you couldn't see Drogba scoring as many goals in the AFCON or in African football as he did in the EPL. You see? So sometimes when we play, no, this player or this team must be favored. I've seen so many favors going to big teams, especially Man City. Simple dives, it's a penalty, it's a free kick, it's what. Those are the things that decide the league at the end of the day. You give them an extra point at the end of the season, it decides who carries the trophy. You see? So I think the EPL should level up. Somebody made that comment. Is it Mourinho? After the
Mourinho.
AFCON, he made that comment. He said, the refereeing that I've seen at AFCON is way better than the EPL, something like that, or European football. Why? Because there's so much carrying of people in armpits. This is our player. So you find even Sterling became good at diving because he knew referees. He's English. He's become the English star. Everything died. Everything died. Yeah. So for me, that wasn't a penalty. Just unfortunate that it has to go the other way around. It's fortunate for us, we need that goal tally. It might help us.
Yeah. So Trossard scored a goal. Your boy Kai Havertz scored a goal. Prosper. So this is how the Premier League table stands. As it is now. So Liverpool beat Brentford. I think it was 4-1 in an earlier kickoff. So Arsenal are behind them 2 points. Man City are yet to play later on this evening. Aston Villa 1-2-1 against Fulham, and Tottenham. I believe they lost. Are Arsenal going to win the Premier League this season?
I mean, Look here, the way Arsenal was playing the first round, 3 games into the season, I predicted if we're going to continue playing like this, we're gonna be fifth, sixth. The way Arsenal is playing right now, it's up for grabs. We can win the league, but the only problem that's there is Arteta's favoritism for Havertz. Look here, I don't have an issue with Havertz. Honestly, to me, he's one of those players. He hasn't got that pompous demeanor, like I'm the star, I'm what. He's a cool guy, the kind of guy you'd like to have in the dressing room. Probably he works so hard in training as well. But when you just don't have what is demanded of you at that time, you just don't have it and you can't force it, you know? We can
Mm.
love the players much, but we have to reach a point where we have to say, okay, fine. I think if we can't switch up positions for him, if we love him so much, but where we're playing him, I don't think he's giving us the best. Put somebody else there who'll go a level higher, So for me, winning the Premier League shall depend on first team selection. Those small mistakes. We have the talent. I've always said we have the good players. We are better, player for player, we're better than Liverpool. I'm sure of that. But it's just those mistakes, the blames you put in today, you put in Havertz. Jorginho is at his peak. He's really brought in solidity in that midfield. Then you put him on bench instead of gelling him up well with Rice in case Partey is not available.
Mm.
Then you keep him again on bench. So he has to come and reconnect. That synergy has to come and happen again. By now, Arteta should have, okay, this is my winning team. If I'm facing Porto, if I'm facing Man City, this is my A team. And we know that we can see the A players from it. Jorginho is an A player. He's fast at decision making. He can see a pass that very few can pick up in that midfield. So for me, I think it's just that part where he makes the wrong substitutions, he makes the wrong lineups at some time. That might cost us. But if luck is on our side, we can win the league. It's up for grabs.
Two things, Prosper, about Kai Havertz. Are we looking at the wrong metrics for Kai Havertz? Is it that we want him to score goals, or what do we need Kai Havertz to do? To provide the assists? What do we need Kai Havertz to do? Say, actually, right, okay, all right, now Kai Havertz is world class. What do we need Kai Havertz to do? Score goals?
I think the case of Kai Havertz has to be looked at from how Kai Havertz came to Arsenal. There was so much pressure on Arteta to make a big signing in the first place. Chelsea was laying off riffraffs, so they thought, and yeah, there were a lot of players exiting Chelsea. So because Arteta had pressure on him to sign a big name, and Kai Havertz fell on our laps, Arteta didn't have a plan for him. Where am I going to play him? What am I going to do with him? And this is exactly what we've been seeing this season. Now he's trying to fit him where he can fit him to justify his expenditure. You see? But if he had a plan for Kai Havertz, he would have bought a better player than Kai Havertz. If he wanted a player for a specific reason, he would have gone for a better player than Kai for that money. But it was just that one of those buys where you have to do something so that the supporters or the fans can be calm, and he should be seen to be doing something. Then he went for Kai. Now Kai comes in because if I'm a manager, honestly speaking, there's several players that I've seen, good players at other teams, but they couldn't fit into the Arsenal kind of play, And you have to admit, this is not an Arsenal player. He's a good player. You remember what happened to Fernando Torres?
Yeah.
Very talented player. He goes to Chelsea. Chelsea doesn't play tiki-taka kind of football. He struggled. Shevchenko the same. Because AC Milan would pick a pass, a good pass. Chelsea would just play high balls, win by corners, free kicks. They struggle. So sometimes even what's his name again? Eden Hazard. Very talented player. He went to Madrid. The kind of football. So when you buy in a player, you have to see what kind of football do we play at Arsenal. And Kai Havertz doesn't fit in the kind of football he plays.
Mm,
I've always talked about his control. If you remember from the first months, he has no ball skills on him. And at Arsenal, you're demanded to have a bit of ball skills for ball retention. It's not just like a chasing. The N'Golo Kantes will run with the ball, they'll do the carrying for the ball. All you have to do is a tapping. That's what he was doing at Chelsea. But now he has to hold the ball, carry. I've never seen him complete a proper dribble. Have you ever seen him complete a proper dribble? No.
no,
You
no,
see?
no.
So, yeah, it's just that. He's not an Arsenal player, and we have to accept it.
Okay. So the other thing I wanted to say to you was Arsenal's chances about winning the Premier League. Again, I'm going to remain consistent in saying that they're not going to win it. Liverpool are ahead. Man City are ahead with a game in hand. And also, you've got to think Arsenal on Wednesday in Champions League action against FC Porto. If they lose against FC Porto, I mean, of course, their concentration will be on the Premier League. But for me, I can't see where Arsenal are going to win the Premier League. Our best chance, as we know, was last season. There was no pressure on the players last season. Nobody expected Arsenal to be on top of the Premier League tree. And we tripped ourselves up. But there's still pressure on the players this season. And I can't see them winning the Premier League. I can't. So
Yeah, it's kind of a roll of a die or a spin of a coin for us right now because I'm looking at it from an angle where we have to. It's just 3 points against the top or 6 points against the team that if they play all their games, it's less than 6 points somewhere there. So it's within range. It's up for grabs for anyone. You know, all it takes is City to draw with Chelsea today. Games are still coming or something, and we're there. We can still rough it out because you can't completely rule it out. I remember, was that 94 when Newcastle won the league? 93, 94. Alan Shearer, Newcastle won the league in 94, somewhere there. 93, 94, I think.
93?
I remember that. Yeah,
93?
I remember because I was watching the AFCON when Zambia was second with from Nigeria. Yeah. Sometimes these anomalies happen, and Arsenal is a big club up there. Then Leicester won it. You see? So we can't just rule it out. When everybody was like, Leicester is gonna get tired, they're gonna run out of steam. They kept going. And they won the league against a tycoon Man City. The gap then was even bigger than what it is today between Arsenal and City. City is a bit disorganized this time around. You see, but they won it. So if only our players can believe. But the biggest problem comes into top level management when people like Edu start bringing up comments like, no, this is not our focus. Probably they've been talking, no, this season you've done all you can do. We just want you to be in top four. Then even the players go into that lackluster form. They're like, okay, we've done what we can do. They're happy. We can't push ourselves. You see? So it's just, for me, it's just the mentality we have at Arsenal. We like settling for less as a club, As Arsenal, we like settling for less. Top four is fine. We're too fine with everything, substandard stuff. That mentality, winning mentality, has just gone away just like that.
Yeah.
So that's what will kill us. In terms of the players on the pitch, we have the players to win the league, no doubt.
Okay. So this is how it ended, 5-0 to Arsenal. Odegaard, Bukayo Saka got a brace, Trossard, and then at the end, Kai Havertz scored his solitary goal. Let's go into the live chat. I'm surprised, actually. We've had almost 88 people, 90 people watching us. There's only been a few comments here, but it's okay. It's all right. So the moderator for the show, Ashley D, says, I'm here at Gooners. And then he says, and yet again, Arsenal empty another stadium as Burnley fans forced to leave early as they get slaughtered. How do you feel about that? Do you think, they have a divine
We're going
right?
back. we're going back to 2002, 2003 season, 2004, somewhere there. The Invincibles. It used to happen. We used
Yeah,
to watch that a lot. We're going back to that. It's
yeah.
normal for us who've been there that long.
Long may it continue, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then he says, 66 schooners here today. Would be good to have some more comments, but there's no comments there, but it's okay. In regards to who was your man of the match? 'Cause
That's but I would give it to Trossard.
wow, wow,
I would give it to Trossard. I would give it to Trossard. I think he showed a lot of maturity, considering he's playing out of position in the first place. That's not his natural position. But I would give it to Trossard because maybe Saka or Trossard. But for me, I think if you're not playing in your natural position and you're playing that good, you're commanding the game, you deserve to be the man of the match.
okay, all right. Well, on the platform, I put Kievor, who I thought had a relatively good game, Bukayo Saka, Odegaard, Trossard, Declan Rice. So we have received 150 votes, and everyone on the channel, subscribers, have voted for Odegaard to be the man of the match. And Trossard only got 1% of the votes. 1% of the votes.
Oh, really? I mean, we all have our different view of the game,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
if I'm to pick Odegaard and play him off position, I don't think he'll perform. If I'm to pick Saka and play him anywhere off his position, I don't think he'll perform that as good as probably Trossard got a 7.5 or 8. You see, out of 10.
Yeah.
So for me, and he's been consistent like that, and he's knocking in goals, you know.
Really?
So for me, I think it's just how you perceive the game. If you go for probably outward performance and don't consider in other factors, yeah, you can give it to Odegaard or Saka. Those are the next in line. But for me, I think Trossard is really doing great. You know, even that brain of thinking I'm in the box, let me drive, let me dive, maybe I can get something out of it. That takes a good soccer brain, you know,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
those are the kind of players that help you kill the game, you know.
Do you think
They'll
it's
make
underrated?
something.
Do you think it's
Hmm?
underrated? Do you think people would instantly go
No,
for
huh?
Odegaard because he's the club captain? If it's not going to be Odegaard, it will be Bukayo Saka. But Trossard, he's not. I mean, for me, he's the last two seasons. He's been the signing.
Mm,
Really good
mm.
player. Left foot, right foot, can also head of the ball, and he scores
Exactly,
goals.
exactly, exactly.
But
Yeah, yeah. It all comes back to the points we had even on the group chat earlier. You know, there is this mentality that the English Premier League is the toughest league, is the what, because we don't look at other players elsewhere. But if I look at the EPL, the players that have really come and dominated the EPL have come from even smaller leagues. Salah, Mane. You see why? It's the same case as Trossard. You know, those who've been nurtured in the EPL, where are they? They would have been dominating the Salahs and the Manes. Where were they? And where are they? They would have been dominating the Trossard, but they're not. You know? So it comes back to whoever is talented and can deliver, doesn't matter where he comes from, they're a good player. But we are fond of pitching for the homegrown talent, and we forget how much
yeah,
it takes for a player from elsewhere even to sniff a chance in the EPL,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. That's a,
So for me, I think we underrate players from elsewhere because probably they're not ours. We just want to have that sentimental say that we've got the best players. But honestly speaking, Trossard is one of the best players in world football right now.
I'm telling you, I rate
Yeah,
him so highly, man.
yeah.
Really.
Even me. I mean, even me, I look at Trossard and I'm like, wow. You remember we wanted to sign this Chelsea player before Trossard? What's his name again?
Which one's that? Oh, Mihailo. Is it Mihailo? Mudryk.
Mudryk, yes.
Mudryk.
We wanted to sign Mudryk.
Thank God.
Then we landed on Trossard. You know, I mean, that was a miracle. God works in mysterious ways. You know?
So we escaped from that one.
We dodged the bullet. That would have been another Arteta riffraff.
Oh dear.
So to me, I think that one was nice. But I'm looking at Arteta has to find a winning team right now. Something out of subject discussion, but we have to be proactive, not reactive as a club. You know, and that team really needs refining around Havertz's position. Just before the show started, we were talking about his control. We're having debates about his ball control. You know, this is Burnley we're playing. The defenders don't give you that much tension as the Rudigers would give you, because I'm going to play Rudiger. You'll be more tense, you'll be more shaken. You know you're going to play Rudiger, you know? And that's Burnley. And you're failing to control the ball like that. How are you going to do if you're in the semifinals with Madrid? And you know they're not going to give you those chances we're getting against Burnley. It might be that just that one control.
Yeah.
Like we did with Thierry Henry that other time. Just that one ball and he scored. And that changed everything. We were in the final. You see? So it's just the same as this here. When I look at a player of that much value who can't even do a basic ball control, it worries me, because I'm looking at, okay, if we're going to the Champions League, you don't get as many chances as we West. That's why I have an issue when strikers are missing. Because in the Champions League, you might play the whole 90 minutes and only get one shot on goal. And that would decide the outcome of the whole game. You know? Yeah. So you have to be prolific at whatever you're doing.
One more question before we end the show. So Wednesday, we're playing against FC Porto. If you were Mikel Arteta, would you start this same 11 against FC Porto, or would you make some changes, Prosper?
I would make some changes, because we're playing FC Porto. We're not playing a basic team. They're Champions League winners. And the champions in their league. They've upset so many teams in the past Champions League tournaments or seasons. So if I'm going to play Porto, I'm not going to play players of position. Probably Trossard I would, but I'm not going to gamble with Havertz. I would rather put in Jorginho because of his experience. He knows how to play at the high level. World Cup, when it's all tense, when it counts, he'll show up. You know? So I'd rather play Jorginho instead of Kai and Rice. The rest, I would maintain it. But Kai, I would say, Kai, sit this one out. Probably you come in later. We need to win this game.
Okay.
You know?
All right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, listen, brother. So on Wednesday, like I said, we're going to be playing against FC Porto. Make sure you're available so we can do another instant post-game reaction show, man.
I will be available, and I hope that we won't have the network issues we've had in this country for the past week.
Yeah,
it's just one of those, you know, that really kills it. But with the trajectory we've set up, I can feel it. We're going to Porto, and are we going to Porto, or are they coming here? I haven't even checked.
We're going to Porto. We're going to Porto.
I think we can shake up things. I think we can upset Porto.
Right. Okay. Well, we can talk about that on Wednesday night. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, listen. Thank you for that. So that was it. That was the instant post-game reaction, and we're going to be doing another one. Well, the next time you will see me will be on Monday evening. where I'll be joined by James Robb, where we're going to be reviewing the FC Porto game. And then on Wednesday night, there'll be another instant post-game reaction with Prosper, myself, and maybe another guest. Brother Prosper, thank you for giving us your time. And yeah, 5-star performance against Burnley, but it was only Burnley.
Cheers, Gunners. We sleep on tonight. Job well done.
I've only got water, man. I've only got water.
Yeah, we can do the cheers.
All right, so that's it. This was Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world.